For this Tuesday, September 14th, 2021. I am your host, Russ Williams. I'm so glad you could be here today. I'm quite aware you could have been anywhere in this world today. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you could have been anywhere in this world today, but you decided to be here with me, and I appreciate that. And more importantly, I appreciate you. So welcome to Transition Tuesdays, ladies and gentlemen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you guys can see, we got an action-packed show here today. I got a special guest. We're going to get to this young man in a second. But before I do that, I always like to state my intentions for the show. And my intention is to give you the opportunity to laugh, smile, think, and engage in honest conversations about your life's transition. So that's what we do here on Transition Tuesdays. And speaking of honest conversation, my special guest we have here today, and I'm going to read this extensive bio of my guy here, my young gunner here, as I call him, my young OG here. My special guest. While in high school, he was the McDonald's All-American nominee and a top 50 senior in the country, not in the state of Louisiana. We talk about the country this young man was. He won a high school state championship at Helen Cox, and he played alongside the number one player at that time in the country, Mr. Greg Monroe, who went on to play at Georgetown. Also, my special guest attended Howard University. You know, right? Is that the theme? You know. Okay, all right. After turning down countless scholarship offers from many Division I teams, he briefly played overseas. He is now a dean and athletic director and coach at a middle school in New Orleans, Louisiana. And this young man, this young G or OG, he's working on his doctorate in educational leadership with ambitions of owning his own charter school and leading that school as a principal. And also, I'll be remiss, this young man, I might add, he was my mentor when I was a behavior specialist with him, man. This guy, I learned the ropes from this guy, man, at Harriet Tubman, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, Transition Army, please help me welcome the Prince of New Orleans. I call him the Prince of New Orleans, Mr. Calvin Thompson Sr. here. What's going on, Calvin? Hold on, man. Hold on. I got this for you, too. Hold on. Play this for you.
Okay.
I got to give you the applause, man. I got to give the young Prince of New Orleans his applause and his due. What's going on, CT?
Nothing much, man. Just, out here in New Orleans. I'm excited to be here, man. I appreciate that.
No problem. We got Keisha joining us from the D. What up, though? What up, Keisha? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays. Always a pleasure to see you, Keisha. So, hey, Calvin, man. As you know, I play music for my for my guests that come on, man. So I'm gonna play this little doozy for you. There. Tell me if you can recognize it. Hopefully you can hear it, because sometimes it's hard to transfer from the phone to my laptop. But I'm gonna play this for you. Tell me what you think of this song here. I think of you when I hear this song here, CT. Hold on one second. Let me get it. Let me cue it up here with my DJing skills. Hold on one second.
1, 2, 3, 4, bust.
That Nola Clyde, right, for Juvenile, huh? Man, now, CT, when you hear that song, man, what do you think about when you hear that song, Nola Clap, man?
Man, it reminds me of the old days in NOLA, man. The second lines, going to the corner stores, man, everybody being inside, man. The New Orleans Indians, just remind me of a lot, man. Make a lot of memories.
That's good, man. Oh, that's so good, man. Hey, so, man, I know that, we had this Hurricane Ida, and, I know it, just, disrupted a lot of things, a lot of places, a lot of people and everything like that. So, hey, how are you and your family doing, man, back there in New Orleans there? I wanted to get a report, man, because, a lot of people ask me because, they knew I lived in New Orleans for 9 years, and, they was asking me. So I said, I'm so glad to have my man Calvin on the show. Give us a little, little update on how everything is going back in New Orleans. So how's everything going for you there, Calvin?
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to get back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be slow. We had a lot of debris down that they still trying to clear out.
Yep.
They had, some people that weren't fortunate at all. Like, they lost everything. But, I'm happy to see that, that didn't happen to too many of my family members. Most of them are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of tough to get like gas because,
Yep.
you know, running out of gas, so many people, you know, but I think, you know, the city's coming back slowly but surely.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. Hey, Calvin, I always get this all the time too. Like, you know, people, you don't really know the flavor of New Orleans until you live there. You know, a lot of people love New Orleans, and a lot of people, you know, they come up to you and say like, you know, a lot of people who live in New Orleans and the Gulf Coast, you know, hurricane season is all year. You know, every year at this time, you know, it's going to be hurricane season. So some people say like, you know, why do people, you know, from that region, why do they stay when they know this, you know, this can be this can be a reality? So, you know, what would you say to those people there, Kyle?
I think that, you know, people stay because, you know, your family's here.
Yep.
You'll never find another culture like this one.
Yeah.
Probably, you know, people in your family, you know, the elders, men, the older people, they done lived through hurricanes, so they taught you how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not often that we get, you know, the category 5, 4, and 5s. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We usually can withstand, you know, the hurricanes that's, you know, 2 and below or whatever, and that's the ones we usually get. So I mean, people love it, man. You know, it's hard to leave once you know you're rooted here.
It is.
It's always right.
That's true. I always say New Orleans, like they give you that big bear hug, man, that just continues to hold on to you, man. You know, that's how it was. That's how my experience was, you know, living in New Orleans. So, yeah, man, New Orleans is that place, man. It's definitely that place.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Hey, so, Cal, so in terms of this hurricane, so this was a category 4 or 5, right? So was it mandatory? Did you have to evacuate, or people would decide to ride it out, or?
All right, so people that were outside of the levee systems, they were, you know, told to evacuate mandatory. But the people that were inside, actually, our mayor wanted us to evacuate, but she had to make it a voluntary evacuation because it was so late. She didn't want the roads to be gridlocked and, you know, people couldn't get out.
Right.
But actually, like, I left kind of late too, and I went to Houston. You know, a normal ride for me, like maybe 5 hours. It took me 12 and a half hours to get to Houston.
Wow.
But I know one thing. I know every back road in Louisiana now. Like, find the positives and everything, Russ.
That's right. That's true, man. Oh, man. Okay, so yeah, so I saw a lot of people evacuating and stuff like that. So do they contact you there, Calvin? Like, you know, when you're displaced for a little bit, is there like an email or a text message letting you know, okay, now it's safe to come back home, or how does that work?
I mean, to be honest, you really just watching the news.
Okay.
Right? And nowadays it's like you watching social media because that became the news.
Yep.
And so you're just trying to see people that's in your area. You know, nowadays you can see pictures of that. You know, because people post it.
Right.
And you ask questions. You know. You ask questions. So.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, man. So your family was safe. You know, your son, you know, Deuce, he was safe. Everybody was safe. Everybody was good.
Yeah.
Good, man. All right. Hey, so, man, you know, like I tell people all the time there, Cal, you know, football is king, man, down in Louisiana.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Football is king. So how did you get involved with playing, you know, hoops and stuff like that? You know, who introduced you to the game there, Cal?
Actually, like, my first love was football. I played football for the longest, right? Like, you know, I thought that's what, you know, was going to be my key out of it. But actually, I picked up a basketball at around 6, 7, something like that. And, you know, I played around with it. I used to just dribble a lot. I try to tell people this story that this is the reason why I couldn't shoot. In the beginning, why I really couldn't shoot. I was fast and I could dribble, but I couldn't shoot at all. So, like, you know, back then we didn't have, you know, we couldn't afford a basketball goal, right? So, like, we had a grocery store not too far from the neighborhood, and they would let us take, you know, some baskets back. So we would take the baskets back, you know, to the neighborhood and stack them on top of each other, and that's when I learned how to play basketball.
Wow.
So, you know. Of course, I couldn't shoot up. I'm shooting down all the time. So
Yep.
That's when I first, you know, started playing basketball. And, you know, other people would tell me I was good, but, you know, I also, you know, had skills in football. So
right.
And I liked to hit back then.
So gotcha. So did you like playing on the defensive end, or you like a cornerback? I can see you as a corner, man, hitting cats.
I actually played over my time playing football. I played cornerback. I played safety. Early on, I actually played defensive line. I actually played defensive tackle.
Wow.
I played defensive tackle on defense, but then played quarterback on offense.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, hey, so Cal, did you come from like a big family? Like, did you have any brothers and sisters that played sports along with basketball and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, I had family members play sports. But everybody didn't take it as serious, and some people were real good, but
Yep.
Maybe the academics weren't there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I definitely was around it, and my dad actually, I hear the stories. They say that he was pretty good, so I must a little bit of that from him.
That's right. Wow. So you started playing ball at age 6, around 6 or 7. So you became good. So how did you know, like, when you were nice? Like, was it that age, or was that time you was like, you know what, I'm pretty good at this sport, man?
I think what made me realize, okay, I might actually be good. Down here we have something called bitty basketball, which is like recreational basketball for young kids. You have your 6, 7, and 8. You have your 9 and 10, 11, 12s or whatever. And I was playing like on a park ball team, and I made an all-star team, right? And I was like, okay, now I get to play with all the good players from each team. So
right.
I get there, and I'm like, okay, man, I'm the best player on this team, right? And then and then we go to we win down here, and we end up going to nationals in Lebanon, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And we end up making it all the way to the national championship game. But previous to this, they had all these little contests. They had a free throw shooting contest. I won that. We had a hot shot contest. I won that. And this is what everybody in the world. Like, we were playing against people from Scotland, and everybody was there. So I was like, I might actually be pretty good. And so we played the national championship game, and although we lost, right, we lost by like a point on the buzzer beater. That was a tough team, man. It was a tough team.
Wow.
But yeah, we lost on the buzzer beater, but I became, I was All-American at that age. So that's when I realized maybe I could do something with this.
Yeah, definitely, man. So did you play did they have AAU, in Louisiana too? Did you come up at the AAU ranks as well?
Yeah, I did. I played AAU. I played for a couple of teams early, and then actually me and Greg, we hooked up. And we started for this team called New Orleans Panthers Select. And we were a travel team, and then we got the Nike sponsorship, so we would travel everywhere and play all the the best guys in the country. So that was a special experience.
Man.
And, I also was for this team called New Orleans Jazz. It was a deep team, so I also was able to travel and do a lot. Shout out to Coach Dan Jackson too. I learned a lot from him.
Wow, man. So you had early on, like you had the relationship with Greg Monroe, and a lot of people don't know Greg Monroe was he was the best player, high school player coming out. Yup. Yeah. What year was that? What year was that there, Cal?
But they gave him that extension in 2007.
2007. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Man, so how was it playing with him? How was so you guys knew each other like when you were like little before high school or?
Yeah, well me and Greg met each other when we were about 7 or 8.
Wow.
And it was we actually were playing against each other. He played for a different park than I did. But we were able to meet and start developing our relationship because we both made an all-star team. So we were able to meet. And then that relationship, actually, we just kind of followed each other all around with basketball, right? So, yeah, we played park ball together, we played AAU together, we played middle school together, we played high school together. So,
yep.
Yeah.
That's big, man. We got my man Matt Fernandez joined. What's going on, man? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays, my friend, my Crusader brother. Oh man, welcome. Man. So, okay. Let's talk about your high school days, Kyle, because a lot of people, like I read earlier, man, like this guy, Calvin Thompson, CT, as I call him, that Prince of New Orleans. This guy was nice, man, very good, state championship, you know what I mean? This guy was nice. So talk to me about that state championship. Was that your senior year there, Calvin, when you won that state?
Yeah, that was my senior year. Yeah, man, actually, we were picked to win it, and so like we were actually a disappointment. We fell short a bunch of times. We were picked to win it, the previous 2 years. So we were supposed to win it 3 years in a row, right? So we would always lose out, and in the in the playoffs, and it was like it was a disappointment.
Right.
Then it just kind of all came together senior year. We played a national schedule before we came home, and did district and things like that. So we were always on the road playing against the best talent in the nation.
Yeah.
We actually got all the way up to like ranked number 7 in the nation, our team.
Wow.
And yeah, and then so to be honest with you, that year like teams we were playing Louisiana, those games were so easy for us. We would win them by 30, right? Like, and then the team that we actually played in the state championship game, right? That was our first game of the year, and we beat them by 30. Then in the state championship game, we beat them by 30.
Wow, and that was a state championship game. You beat them by 30, man.
Yeah, I mean, the game before that was the tough game. I can't lie, man. It was, but the final, that game was real easy. Like I had a triple double. Like Greg had like this big time double. Like,
man. Hey, so who was your toughest competition that you played against in high school? Like the toughest player for you?
I'm gonna say this. This kid named Sylvan Landisberg, he was the toughest player for me to guard.
Okay.
I can't lie. It was tough for me to guard him. But I played against people like Lance Stevenson and all the big time, all those big time dudes, right? And all those tournaments we were playing, like. Yep. Actually, I'm like, that's again when I'm like, I might be actually pretty good. Actually, in one of those big time tournaments, we actually was playing Lance Stevenson's team, out in Brooklyn. Yep,
Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln. I'll tell you a funny story real quick before you move on there, Calvin. So when I worked for a company called Johnston's, we did the championship rings for them. And I did the championship rings for Stephon Marbury, Sebastian Telfair, and all of Lance Stevenson's championships too. Yeah, Lance was he was a beast out there. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, he was good. Yep. We had him frustrated that game. I guess he was used to people backing down or something.
Yep.
We beat up. One thing about us, we were tough.
Hey, Calvin, who did you pattern your game after? Like, was it a college player? Was it an NBA player? Like, who'd you pattern your style of play after?
You know what, Russ? Another funny thing. I didn't work out and stuff a lot growing up, right? We didn't really have like trainers and stuff like that. I tell you what I started out doing on. But what I would do is I would watch, basketball games on TV, and I would just go on the court and emulate what I saw. So, right, I would watch Allen Iverson in the crossover, and I would watch how like Tracy McGrady had like this nice pull-up game, and I Kobe, like, and I just felt like I wanted to try to incorporate all that into my game. So I can't really say one person. I try to get it all into my game.
Gotcha. We got my guy, my man Chris, Uncle Smoothie Williams joining. What's going on, Smooth? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays, my friend, my former backcourt mate. Oh man. So you had great success, championship, man, state championship, man, for Helen Cox. You did your thing. You did your thing with Greg Monroe. Talk to me a little about the recruiting process for you there, Calvin. How was that? What schools were looking at you in terms of that? Talk to us about the recruiting process for you.
I can say this about the recruit. It was tough and fun at the same time, right? Because I kind of was, doing it by myself, right? I didn't really have like my mom would always just say, whatever you do, I got your back. You know what I'm saying? Really, guiding me, but she didn't know too much.
Sure.
Early on, my first offer was my sophomore year in high school, and that was from Tulane. Shout out to Coach Dan Dickerson, man. That's my man for life.
Wow.
But, I developed a relationship with him, and I verbally committed to them, and I was verbally committed to them until after the junior summer, right? The AAU summer. Because after that summer, like, the coaches came knocking, like, I was getting all these letters, all these, these big time coaches calling me, and you know, shout out to Tim Floyd too, man. That's my man. He was at USC at the time, right? He recruited me too. So, you know, I had Tulane, USC, Kansas. Shout out to Coach Dooley over there. He was at Kansas. I think he down south somewhere in Florida.
Wow.
Kansas. And then, right, we could just jump to this. One day we had open gym at the gym, and of course, Gray's the #1 player in the country. We had every coach, any coach, you know, Ron Williams, all of them in the gym that day, and we just, you know, playing free play. And after John Thompson, Jr. or whatever, he pulled me over to the side, and he was like, man, you can play. And I was, you know, and I'm looking at him like, you know, thank you or whatever. And he was like, man, you play like this all the time? And I was like, yeah, I mean, this is my game, right? Like, or whatever. And he was like, man, we could really use you over there at Georgetown. He was like, you know, Greg's, you know, coming to Georgetown. He was like, man, package deal with you. He was like, the only thing, you know, we got Jesse Sapp, we got Austin Freeman, we got Chris Wright. He was like, you probably not going to play your first year, right? He was like, you know, you can work hard and maybe you and Greg will play together sophomore year. And again, I was doing all this by myself. So I remember looking at him and I was like, you know, I appreciate that, but if you're not going to at least give me the, you know, the opportunity to work for the spot, because I want to play. You're not going to give it to me that, you know, I thank you, but no thank you type situation. And, and I remember him telling me, man, he was like, man, I respect that. He was like, you know, I think you know, you can play a lot of places, such and such and such. And I'll never forget what he told me. He said, I'm going to call a couple of schools where I feel like you can go and be the man at. That's exactly what he told me.
Wow.
So, yeah. And so he called like, you know, some MEAC schools, like some smaller conference schools or whatever. And so that's when, like, Howard, because these schools, you know, previously they didn't think, you know, they had a chance. Like, I would go there because I was getting, you know, recruited so high. Yeah. And so, like, Howard did, like, this late push. Like, they came out of nowhere, man. Like, they recruited me, like, you know, real heavy. Wow. And I had a teacher at the time, and she was, you know, telling me all the history about Howard and how maybe I could go there and change, you know, the basketball program. And, you know, I had all these, you know, these hype moments in my head. Then it was like, I'm like, all right, Greg, right down the street, like, okay, I can work, right? You know what I'm saying? And eventually, you know, I did. I committed to, you know, Howard. And then, you know, it was a big shock to everybody. Of course, they're like, what? Howard? You had USC, you had Kansas, you had things crazy.
Right.
And, yeah, it was, you know, I was just so bent on trying to change the program. You know?
Yeah, definitely. We got Karen joining. What's going on, Karen? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays. Welcome. Man, so you decided on HU. Okay, so you go there, and so you said so Georgetown was right down the street, so you got a chance to hang with your boy, be with your boy, the whole nine. Okay, and then HBC, the famous HU. You know, you went there. So talk to me about that experience at the HBCU, man, because a lot of people don't experience that. And I remember when I was, you know, growing up and being recruited, I never got recruited by an HBCU. Like, none of them never came knocking. I didn't know much about the process, you know, so I never really looked into it. But talk to me a little about the HBCU experience, man, at Howard.
I can say this. Early on, it was real tough. Like, you know, you get recruited, it's all glitz and glamour.
Sure.
Lay out the red carpet.
Yep.
But once you got there, the reality set in, right? Like, hold up, what you mean you don't, y'all don't know what dorm I'm supposed to stay in? Hold up, like, you know what I'm saying? It was like little administrative things that, they don't, take too serious, right? And so, like, and then, like, basketball, yeah, the coaches and stuff think it's important, but then, like, the university really didn't, think it was important. So, that was tough early on. I struggled with that. I struggled with that early on. But, I contemplated, transferring a bunch of times. Yeah, it was a bunch of times I contemplated transferring, but, I can say this is no college experience like an HBCU, Howard University college experience, though. Wow. I mean, outside of basketball, it was great. Yeah. I learned a lot. I was able to network and meet so many people. I was actually able to meet, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and stuff like that. So,
wow, that's super.
So, they watch me play basketball, right? So that's things that I could always, talk about and have. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate all the things about Howard.
Yeah, yeah, President Obama's a big fan of basketball too. So I can see him, being enthralled of what's going on at HU and and all that good stuff with that with Howard University. Man. And Karen says her father played basketball for. Let me just see who. Let's see. Oh, for Howard back in the day. Wow, small world. Wow, Karen. Yep, man. Yeah, that is big, man. So okay, yeah, man, that's big, man. So I know a proud grad of Howard, and I know you're super proud of Kamala Harris, VP, man. Talk to me a little bit about that, man. That connection, man.
Yeah, man. I think when you see people from Howard do well, and especially get into positions like that, man, you feel a sense of pride, right? Like, man, like that's my sister, that's my brother, like you know what I'm saying. These are things that we can potentially do, right? Like, So that just it makes you proud, man. It gives you so much pride to see stuff like that.
That's true.
Shout out to Kamala Harris, man. Shout out to her.
No doubt.
AKA. Don't let me miss that.
That's true. Yep. That's true, man. That's true. Hey, before we continue on, so Calvert, talk to me about your transition from playing high school ball to playing college athletics. How was that transition for you, man?
Again, I think it was, basketball is basketball, right? Like, I knew how to do that. I always did that. But, everything else, like, in high school, they made it a little bit easier, like, the workload and stuff like that. But when I went to Howard, it's like, no, they're not, giving you a pass for this and that. And so, that transition was tough. And then, I didn't really work out before that. Like, I just played basketball. And so learning how to, like, work on my game, right? Like, actually know, what a move's called and, you know what I'm saying, have, like, study hall. And then, they put me in position to be a captain. So now, I have to, be the touch point for all these people on my team, So I mean, it was, but eventually, I actually grew into it, and then I had a really, really, really good year, right? And that that made things supposedly start change, but as you know, injuries happen. But
yeah, that's true. My man Matt says Bryce Harris. He's a freshman at Howard this upcoming season. He said, look out for him, Calvin. He's a great kid and he works hard.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, absolutely, man. Hey, so Cal, talk to me about some of your, how were your teams? How did you guys fare, at Howard during your years there?
So I always said we had talent, but we had commitment issues, man.
Yeah.
It was hard for people to be as committed at Howard with all the distractions that they had, man. So I'm being honest, and I used to be hard on my teammates because, again, that one year that I did have a real good year, I had that Mamba mentality and focus, right? Like,
right.
So I expected everybody to be on the same page with me, so I did butt heads, with a lot of my teammates, but they knew it came from love.
Sure.
So I just wanted to win. I wanted everybody to work hard. But so that freshman year, that team, we had a talent was there, Russ. I'm telling you, man. We would always have somebody suspended, and that always mess up, the chemistry.
Definitely frustrating.
They're hurt or this or that, right? And so we could never put the pieces together. And then sophomore year came, and I always say this was my best year, but other people tell me otherwise. I always say this was my best year. We had we didn't fare well in the non-conference. We won a couple big non-conference games, but we didn't, But once conference started, we went on like a 6-game win streak, man.
Wow.
And I was getting player of the week every week. And, probably was gonna be the MEAC player of the year that year, and and all these things. And then man, a bomb dropped, man. I remember this one game we were playing a rival team, and things got heated, and at the end of that, my coach at the time, he wanted to like suspend me for some games, because of my part in, and I told him to take, my part in that, and he wanted to suspend me some games, but the AD didn't. right? The AD like, look at me, like Calvin's on fire, like
Right.
he never won any games. Like, what are you talking about? And so, my coach went against, AD's wishes, and he ended up sitting me like the next 2-3 games, and we lost all 3.
Oh,
lost
man.
All our momentum, man. Lost all our momentum that year. He would I would play sparingly, but not enough to really affect the game, and so that was tough. And then I remember after the season, the AD was just like, you know what, Cal, we getting rid of him. Like, and you're gonna pick your next coach, because he knew I wanted to transfer.
Wow.
So he told me, so he was like, you know what, you can pick the next coach. And so he actually fired the coach, and I actually was able to pick our next coach. I helped pick our next coach,
And who was that? Who was that, Calvin? Who was that coach?
Kevin Nickelberry. He's actually assistant to the head coach at LSU right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's my man.
Man.
He took my game to the next level. I always say that. 'Cause he taught me so much, man. Like, he took me to the next level.
Man. So Calvin, I know you, man. I know you, my man, on this mic and all this stuff like that. But I know when you play, you was probably ferocious. You got after cats, you got after people, right?
Yeah, man. Man. I'm pretty laid back in real life. I actually got this nickname when I was younger from playing basketball, and it was like one of the football coaches when he was like, man, you like a quiet storm. And I'm like, quiet storm? Like, it never made sense. He was like, you usually just like, quiet, but like when you get on that court, when you get on that court, you just a storm. Like, you are like, dominating this, the whole situation. So, I always thought that was funny, but that is kind of how I am.
Right, yeah. Right. Nah, I know you got after it, man, as well. We got Donna joining us. What's going on, Donna? Welcome to Transition Tuesday. She says she got a Skype meeting in 1 minute, just stopping by. Okay, Donna, make sure you come back, man, and join us. I got my guy, Calvin Thompson, here on Transition Tuesdays, everybody. Man, so, all right. So, HU, you did your thing. Now, Calvin, who was the toughest college guy you played against in your career?
Toughest college guy.
Or team. It could be teams, too, so.
Teams are, I'm going to say Victor Oladipo.
Ooh.
Victor Oladipo, Indiana.
So you played Indiana 1 year. Okay.
Yeah, we played Indiana and Indiana.
Yep. Yeah.
He was tough, man. He was, athletic, and he was tough, man. But I mean, we also, I had battles with Tyshawn Taylor when he was at Kansas, because we played Kansas like twice. Of course, they gonna put that on the schedule, So we played that, man. I would definitely say Victor, though. Victor was the toughest. For sure.
Yeah, man. If he can stay healthy, man, he's one of the top players in the league, and he can blow too. That cat can sing. That kid can really sing too.
I know that. Yeah, he's talented. Man.
Yeah, man. All right. So after HU, you have your time, and you're chilling with your boy down the street, Greg Monroe, and you're involved with his success, because he went hardship early. Was after sophomore year or his junior? I forget.
He left after sophomore year.
After sophomore year, okay. So to this day, I know you guys are still super tight to this day, right?
That's like my best friend.
Absolutely, yeah, yep. So you do that. So after HU, you play ball overseas for a couple years, right?
Yeah. I played a stint in Dominican Republic. I played 6 months over there. I played for a team, and then I came to Mexico and I played for another 6 months. At the end of that season, I remember I tore my shoulder up again, but I just rehabbed it. But at the end of the season, the team doctor was telling me how bad it was and how I would need surgery, and how if I just continue to play, and this was before I was even thinking about my son, but it came right after I had this conversation. I found out my son was coming into the world, but he was, he told me, man, if you keep playing on it, at this point, you might not even be able to throw a ball and stuff with your child, right?
Wow.
He told me that. It would be that bad. So, that was a tough time, because, I thought I still had a lot in the tank, man.
Sure.
I felt like I could play for a while, man. You know, and so I had to make a decision, and so I feel like I had to retire too early. And people, they're still mad at me till this day about that decision. But I felt like I had to make the best decision for me and my future children moving forward. So.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. Hey, Kyle, you look like you're in great shape. You still play to this day. You still play now, right? You play a little something?
Yeah, I still get it in a little bit of rush.
I know. I know you probably terrorizing cats. I know that. If I know Calvin, and then Calvin dap you up, you hang it till after that. But you just like terrorize him on the court. I know that. If I know my man CT.
Terrorize. And you, man, I'm in your face, man. I'm in your face, Russ.
Absolutely. I know, man. I know. Hey, so Cal, how was that transition from, student athlete to the professional ranks? So how was that transition for you?
Honestly, my professional time, it was amazing, right? Like we would stay on these all-inclusive resorts. We didn't have to pay for anything, right? Like you charted everywhere on the buses, like playing all these different countries or whatever. And so, man, I really enjoyed that time, man. I really enjoyed that time. As far as the talent, I don't feel like the talent was, it was okay, right? Like, right. I never thought, like, man, I'm not supposed to be here. Oh, again, I felt like, man, I might be pretty good.
Sure.
Playing against these cats, doing some of the things I was able to do. So,
yeah. I know DR. I'm sure you loved your stint there because I just went to DR in May, so that was the first time I've ever, I got a passport for the first time. That's my first stamp at DR, so I know DR was probably a good time, good experience for you down there, right?
It was, yeah. I always, I'm so thankful for basketball and God, like giving me opportunities, like to do all the traveling I have, playing the game that I love, like.
Definitely.
I've seen, different countries, different places, like. First time I ever experienced snow was because of basketball being so well doing that. So I always say, man, I thank that basketball and I thank God every day, man. He gave me some opportunities.
Absolutely, man. No doubt about it, man. Yeah. Hey, so Kyle, man, I want to just fast forward a little bit. So, how I met you and how we got involved. I was it 4 or 5 years ago? I was a behavior specialist, man, and Harriet Tubman, man, and guys like CT Calvin, man, here I am. I'm the big homie, but my man here, Calvin, he just took me under his wing. He says, hey, man, you do this job this way, that way, this way, and like, when we were behavior specialists, man, at Tubman, I saw it early on, Calvin, that you got a gift, man. You have a special gift working with kids, man. So was that something that you had to develop, or did that come naturally for you? Because I seen it firsthand.
That's another thing I thank God for, right? Because I never thought I would even be working with kids, but I always knew I had like this, this special, gift of connection with kids. And it started early on, like in college when you would work camps, and you would have teams of players and kids, and and like my kids always loved me, and we would always win the tournaments, and and stuff like that. So I always appreciated that about that, and man, I think it was a natural gift, to be honest. Like work doesn't feel like it to me,
Right, yeah. And you know what? Too, I share something, Calvin, with the audience, man. So when we were working with some kids, it had some behavior problems, man. So we had these, I don't know if they still have it, Calvin, the TOCs, right? The timeout centers, right?
Yeah.
So, yep. So now, Calvin is, this is my guy, man. This is my OG, my young OG. But Calvin's a competitive guy. So I used to remember, like, we trying to get these behavior kids into the TOC, and maybe I got like 1 or 2 in there, and I know Calvin's like, oh, no, we can't have this, nah. So next thing you know, I see Calvin rounded up 5 or 6 cats, and he's like, see what I do? I was like, wow, Calvin. I said, man, you being competitive, man, off the court too? Now we compete for kids?
Yeah, man. I don't know where I get that competitive edge from. I always had it, man. I compete. Everything is a competition for me, man. I don't know. It's that adrenaline I get from it, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Because I love to compete, man. I love to compete. I hate to lose.
I know.
I love to compete.
I know, Calvin. And it used to be funny too, man, because again, when I talk about that gift, so we used to be on the walkie-talkies, you know, the teachers, you know, give that alert. Hey, look, we need Mr. Williams to come down to the, you know, to get this kid. But again, a lot of times, because my man Calvin, he was my mentor. A lot of times the teachers be reaching out, said, no. We need Mr. Thompson to come get this kid, you know what I mean? So I had to be like, hey, I get it. And then next thing you know, you see Calvin, you know, buddy with this kid because, you know, because you had that gift, Calvin, and it was a lot of times it was like, yeah. And a lot of times it was like, man, you know this kid's, you know this kid's peoples, you know what I mean? So it made it that much easier and it had that much respect for you, man. So I wanted to thank you, man, for making that experience, man, what it was. Because if I didn't have you, Calvin, man, I don't know what I would have did, man, that year. I'm telling you.
No problem, right? Anytime, man. I appreciate you too, man. I learned a lot of stuff from you. You just don't know.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Man, so Calvin, man, couple more questions I have for you. So, what drives you to being successful in all your endeavors? Because I know you do a lot of things, but what drives you, man? Is there a motivating factor that drives you for your success?
Yeah, I think I made commitments to so many people, right? You know that are in heaven right now, right?
Yeah.
I look at that as my motivation to keep going. Like I always tell people, like when things are tough, like it can be tough, but never stop.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yep.
Because you're gonna find your way to that other side. So yeah, man, I just that's how I go about that. That's how I go about that.
Yeah, gotcha. And so, Calvin, man, are there any aspects of your basketball playing career that you would like to have a do-over on? And if it is, would you do it over? Certain aspects of it?
Right. What I think I try not to say, like, I don't regret anything. Everything happened for a reason, but I just wish I didn't have so many injuries, man. I just felt like I could have, right? Like I had, NBA aspirations, and I actually had a chance to, do that from Howard, right?
Right.
But those injuries, man, they're real. And then once you get labeled, injury prone, it's like, like people don't want to take a chance on you, man. So
that's true. No, that's true. That's so true. Yeah. Yep. Hey, Cal, did you score? You scored 1,000, right, at Howard, right?
Yeah.
I know. Do you know the actual number? You probably know the exact number. How many points you scored, Cal?
Russ, to be honest with you, I don't even know the exact answer.
Come on, Calvin.
I'm gonna tell you, man. I can't even. I would have to look that up and tell you. And tell you another time, Russ. I don't even know. All
right, I'm gonna look it up and I'm gonna post. I'm gonna post it, man. After this interview, I'm gonna post how many points it was, man.
Because I don't even. I try to forget about some of that stuff, Russ. To be honest with you, just like you say, the transition.
Yep.
The transition, man.
Yeah. Nah, that's true. That's true, man. So, talk to me about you working on your doctorate in education and leadership and opening your future charter school. Talk to me a little bit about that endeavor, man, that you have on slated.
I've been, as you know, I've been working in the school system for about 7 years now.
Yep.
I've learned so much about the community, the culture, how to open a school, the best ways to do it. I think I've worked in, different positions that, that I feel like I could, make a difference.
Yep. Oh, you there, Calvin? All right. A little buffering. There we go. You there, Cal? Uh-oh. This is live, ladies and gentlemen. These things happen. Oh, my man Cal, he gonna come back. Let's see what we got. Yeah, man. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Oh, we gotta get that. Let me see what happens. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, we gotta get Calvin. Yep, we gotta get that because Oh, let's see what happened. Hold on 1 second. All right, let me see what we got. See if we can get Calvin back here. see what we got. Let me try again. We gotta get that answer. We gotta get that answer back from Calvin.
Yo, my fault, Ross.
No problem, sir. Nah. I know these glitches, man.
Yeah, man.
Nah, you talked about working on your doctorate.
Yeah. So I decided to go back to school. I was in school getting my master's in child and adolescent developmental psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And initially the move was to get my doctorate in psychology and become a clinical psychologist for kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And about it, and I was like, I prayed a lot about it, and I was just on my mind. You say, man, you could touch so many more kids, right? If you open a school. Mm-hmm. And you'll have access to them all the time, and you can and you can actually put the plans and the goals and everything you have in your mind into place. And so
sure.
I actually I went into the doctorate of educational leadership, and I'm currently doing that coursework for that.
Man,
and with hopes of eventually, like I said, becoming a principal and opening a school, and maybe more than one school. You never know, right?
There you go.
Think big.
There you go. And if I know Calvin like I know Calvin, he's going to be competitive. I see you open up schools. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Yep.
Hey, Calvin, I'll get you out on this last one, man. Talk to me about fatherhood and how's your son Deuce doing. Talk to me about, being a father, man. Talk to me about that, because I know you take great pride in that.
Oh man, yeah, that's that's my biggest blessing I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
He totally changed. He showed me how to, have empathy again, and I never felt the love like that, man. You feel you have this responsibility now, right? Like, I don't know, man. I still remember when he first came into this world, man.
Yep.
But, being a dad is one of the most important things to me, man. In our relationship, it makes me happy because a lot of people that I know didn't get to experience, relationships with their fathers and stuff like that. So, I take pride in that. I take pride in, every second or every minute that I get to spend with him, man. And, he is my joy, Russ.
Oh.
He is my world,
Yes. And now, how old is he now? How old is Deuce now?
He's 6. He'll be 7 October 28th.
Wow, man, same birthday as my daughter. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's right. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
That is cool, man. Nah, man. Hey, Cal, man. It's always a pleasure, man. Walking down. Yeah, man. I mean, Cal, what you done for me, man, when I was working with you, man, it was a pleasure working with you, man. We talk hoops, we had a lot in common. I learned a lot from the young OG, man. I learned a lot from you. You were my mentor, Cal. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have got through that year, Cal, man.
I appreciate that, right? I love genuine people, man. You're one of those genuine ones.
I appreciate that, Calvin. I appreciate it.
Great, man.
I appreciate that, Calvin. Nah, man, we'll be in touch, man. And next time I touch down in the NO, we gotta hang out. We gotta go to your spot. I know you had this spot. I forget what the name it was. We had this spot that you used to go to. I forget what it is, but we'll connect. We'll hit that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that. Man.
Absolutely. All right, Cal, man. One love, brother. Good talking to you, man. All right, man. Oh man, my man, Mr. Calvin Thompson, joining us, man. Really good stuff, man. Absolute great stuff, my man. Calvin C.T. Thompson, man, joining us, man. Great story, man. Great story, the perseverance, man. Great story. Man. Hey, so ladies and gentlemen, if we were able to make you laugh, smile, and think during this broadcast, my good friends, you have accomplished something major today. So celebrate your victory. Celebrate your victory today. Whatever that victory was, large or small, celebrate it. Take the time to celebrate it. Sometimes we don't take the time to celebrate victories, but I'm telling you today, celebrate your victory. Okay? As I'm trying to get my theme music going. See what we got. Hang on one second here. Because as you guys know, it's live. We do this live each and every Tuesday here on Transition Tuesdays. So, let me get my theme music going here. All right, man. I'll turn this down because I know it's probably going to get loud. Let's see. Why is it not playing? There we go. Hey. All right. Man, ladies and gentlemen, Transition Army, thank you for watching Transition Tuesdays each and every Tuesday. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. And this episode, along with past episodes, you can catch them on our YouTube channel, Transition Tuesdays. And when you're on the channel, please like and subscribe before you leave. Make sure you do that, okay? I would appreciate it if you do. And if you haven't done so already, you can follow me on Instagram, or how the young folks call it, IG. You can follow me there on at Russ Will Transitions with an S. That's Russ Will Transitions. You can follow me there. And major shout out to my guy, Mr. Calvin Thompson, for joining us today on Transition Tuesdays. Man, this guy, I call him the Prince of New Orleans, man. You know, he's been through a lot. He's persevering, man, and he's making his community a better place, man. So shout out to you, Mr. Calvin Thompson. Yes. So guests of Transition Tuesdays receive a candy gift pack courtesy of Sweet Candy Cafe. The Sweet Candy Cafe is located in downtown Lumberton, North Carolina. So after the show, okay, there's a homework assignment, okay, a cool homework assignment. You're not going to be graded or anything like that, but after the show, go to Transition. No. What you're going to do is, because you're here on Transition Tuesdays, but what I need you to do is go to sweetcandycafe.com and order all your confectionery goodies there, okay? Keep in mind, they ship home and abroad. That's very important, so make sure you do that. Always remember, that's sweetcandycafe.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, Transition Army, as we say in parting, happy transitioning, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care, everybody. God bless.